Hello again, this is Mike Ram of Integrated Marketing, bringing you affiliate tips educating beginners and intermediates into the wonders and mysteries of affiliate marketing. And today I wanted to talk to you about using your time. A lot has been made out of using time and using it to the full, and there are various positions that one can take, depending on how hard you want to work, obviously, and depending on how easily you get distracted. I've been listening to a point of view which basically puts out the notion that anything which takes you away from your 100% focus is actually a distraction too far, because it's taking you away from being completely there on the job doing your marketing, and it's lessening your capabilities. And therefore, in order to maintain full concentration, you have to have certain other things in place, which, if you're not very successful yet, it's going to be hard to put into place. But it does emphasize the need to be fully concentrated when you're doing this. Now, this is an extreme position, and the person who holds it is obviously very, very successful, but he's slightly hamstrung by his own requirements, in as much as he can't really afford to take time off to get a meal for himself or get a coffee for himself, because it's all a distraction which he takes quite a long time to get over. Now, it may be something to do with the individual, his own orientation, how easily he's disturbed. But there is a basis for that in my own experience, because there are some days where there's so much rubbish going on that it's really impossible to do any work, and one might just as well draw a line under it for the day. On the other hand, there is another point of view which sort of says, well, you don't have to work 100% of the time you have, because that's not why you're in this business anyway, and the less work you have to do, the better. So it's best to just concentrate on the things that are maximum importance and not worry about fulfilling your to-do list. And I can sympathize with both points of view. And there are many other points of view, depending on how and why you want things to be in your life as an entrepreneur. I mean, some entrepreneurs, they do work incredibly hard, and quite frankly, some of their stories make the hair stand up on the back of my neck, because they're so driven. On the other hand, there's no point in slacking off and thinking you get away with doing nothing, even though the actual formal requirements of your work aren't that massive at the time. But if you're a beginner, it's quite hard to know what to do, apart from learning and then regurgitating stuff you've learned, and putting out content. And I must say, I'm sort of slightly trapped in that phase. I do spend a lot of time working, educating myself, looking at things from other people, and sort of evaluating my own needs and requirements. And it is good to work hard, because there is a general feeling of satisfaction, but you do have to attend to other things in life, even though you spend the bare minimum of time doing it. Like housework, I don't really spend that much time doing housework. I find it quite dull. I'll spend a bit of time cooking because I have to. One has to eat, and a certain amount of time relaxing and exercising and meditating, because they're all things you have to do to keep your show on the road. Now, it's up to everybody for themselves to determine what gives them peak efficiency, and what is sauce for the goose isn't necessarily for the gander, and so on. And we are different. And there are certain rules you can apply, but our sensitivities to different aspects of life vary. And knowing oneself is maybe the thing you have to do first, rather than follow anybody's particular recipes for maximizing your effort. It's okay to try out other people's methods. I think it's useful to see how it fits with you to maximize your efficiency and ability. But at the same time, be aware of who you are, not of who they are. Because your needs and requirements may be completely different. Your brain style may be different. Your way of operating, your way of learning. And you do get a sort of like a strong cross-section in this business. But a lot of people come up with the same idea. And it's surprising how many people who do this business of entrepreneurship are actually quite introverted. Or very introverted. I suppose that's what gives them the ability to go for these amazingly long periods of time without seeing anybody and still come out of the whole thing sane at the end. Whereas for extroverts, although you get to have far more contacts in the business and have far more people around you who would be useful, and personally I wouldn't mind that. If you're an introvert, you wouldn't be able to do these long hours, these long hauls on your own if you were an extrovert with quite the same ease, unless you had a remarkable capacity for it, or you had people sort of just telling you, you know, that you're doing okay as you are, and keeping you running like that. So it is a fairly peculiar situation doing this sort of business, long distance entrepreneurship on a computer. And the things that make it easy for one person may be the same things that make it impossible for another. But I think it's best to find your own medium at first. And above all, you know, get enough sleep. Keep enjoying yourself, because you obviously don't want to make it miserable for yourself. And I think being your own slave driver is probably not the way to approach it, however much you feel like making it. But finding a happy medium where you can actually face up to it and still enjoy doing the work, but you haven't enslaved yourself. And again, you know, we're all different on this, and that just sounds like a platitude, but we are. But, you know, just make sure you get enough oxygen while you're doing it, as well as drinking water. But I say oxygen because I think that's fairly pertinent, because being locked away, there is a tendency to overlook the fact that oxygen is still needed to get your brain working and to keep it working. Anyway, those are my thoughts on time management. Find a happy medium between self-enslavement and just slobbing it, doing nothing. Because obviously you're not going to get anywhere in the latter, and the first course, it may lead to trouble down the line in terms of stress. Anyway, I hope this is useful to you, and give me a like if you thought it was, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.